He turned off the TV without warning. The room went silent. And in that silence, my life fell apart. I still remember the way the screen went black, not slowly, not politely, but with a sharp click that felt louder than thunder. The show we were watching disappeared mid-sentence. 1 second, people were laughing on the screen. The next, nothing. I looked at him, confused. Then he said the words that still echo in my head to this day. Get out. No explanation. No argument. No warning. Just like that. Before I continue, pause for just 1 second. Drop a comment right now and tell me the time and where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with a friend who might need to hear it today. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Now, let me take you back to how it all began. My name is Elena. I wasn't famous. I wasn't rich. I wasn't perfect. But I believed I was safe. I believed I had a home. 4 or 5 years, that small apartment on the 3rd floor was my world. The brown couch. The flickering TV. The kitchen window that never closed properly. And Mark, the man sitting beside me when everything ended. We met in the most normal way possible. A grocery store. Same aisle. Same cereal box. He smiled first. I smiled back. Looking back now, I wish I had walked away. But at the time he felt like calm. Like stability. Like someone who knew what he wanted. And what he wanted was control. I just didn't know it yet. That night started like any other. Dinner was already done. The dishes were drying. The TV was on low volume. The room smelled like warm food and old carpet. Nothing felt wrong. Mark sat beside me, scrolling through his phone. I leaned into the couch, tired but peaceful. Then the TV played a news clip. A man being arrested. Fraud. Fake identities. Stolen money. I laughed softly and said, "People will do anything for money these days." That's when Mark stiffened. I felt it. His body went rigid like a wire pulled too tight. "Can you change the channel?" he asked. His voice was calm. Too calm. I looked at him. "Why?" That's when everything shifted. He reached for the remote. Click. The TV went black. I turned toward him, confused and slightly annoyed. "What's wrong with you?" He didn't look at me. His jaw was tight. His hands were shaking. Then he stood up. "Elena," he said slowly, "you need to leave. Now." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Mark, stop joking." That's when he finally looked at me. And I swear, I didn't recognize him. His eyes were cold. Empty. Like I was a stranger. Or worse, a problem. I said, "Get out." My heart started pounding. "What did I do?" I asked, my voice suddenly small. "You know exactly what you did." I didn't. But I was about to pay for it anyway. I stood up, my legs shaking. "This is my home too," I said. He walked past me and grabbed my jacket from the chair. Threw it at my chest. "Take your things and go." "Mark, please," I whispered. "Let's talk." He opened the door. Cold air rushed in. "Out." No yelling. No hitting. Just finality. I grabbed my phone. My wallet. That was it. As I stepped into the hallway, I turned back one last time. "Why?" I asked. He didn't answer. The door slammed shut. Locked. I stood there for a long time. In shock. In disbelief. In the clothes I wore to watch TV. I knocked. Nothing. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "You're not safe. You need to leave now. Tomorrow, someone will come with the truth." My hands trembled. Who sent that? What truth? And why did Mark throw me out the moment the TV showed that arrest? I looked at the locked door one last time. And then I realized something terrifying. He wasn't scared of me. He was scared of what I might find out. The hallway felt colder than the night air outside. I stood there, staring at the locked door, hoping, stupidly, that it would open again. That Mark would realize what he'd done. That he would apologize. But the door stayed closed. Silent. Just like his phone. I slowly slid down the wall until I was sitting on the floor, hugging my knees. My heart was racing so fast it felt like it might break out of my chest. That message kept flashing in my head. "You're not safe." Safe from what? Or from who? I looked around the hallway. The lights flickered softly. Every sound felt louder. Footsteps. A door closing somewhere above. A TV playing in another apartment. Life was going on. Mine had stopped. I knew I couldn't stay there. If Mark came out angry, or worse if he called someone, I didn't know what he was capable of anymore. So I stood up. I walked down the stairs slowly, my legs heavy like they didn't belong to me. When I reached the front door of the building, I hesitated. That door felt like the line between my old life and something unknown. I pushed it open. Cold night air slapped my face. I stepped outside with nowhere to go. The street was quiet. Too quiet. Streetlights buzzed overhead. A stray cat ran across the road and disappeared into the shadows. My breath came out in white clouds. I checked the time. 11:47 p.m. Almost midnight. I opened my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Mom, no. She would panic. My sister, she lived too far. Friends, most were asleep. Then I stopped at one name. Lydia. My old coworker. We weren't that close anymore, but she was kind. She once told me, "If you ever need somewhere to crash, call me." I hesitated. Pride is funny. It makes you suffer quietly instead of asking for help. But I pressed call. Hello. Lydia answered, sleepy but concerned. Lydia, it's me, I said, my voice breaking. What's wrong? I need a place to stay tonight. There was a pause. Then she said something I'll never forget. Where are you? I'm coming. I sat on the curb and cried. While I waited, my phone buzzed again. Same number. Do not go back to him. He knows you saw the news. Tomorrow at noon. Coffee shop on 8th Street. My heart dropped. He knows you saw the news. I typed back. Who are you? The message showed red. No reply. As I waited, my mind replayed moments I had ignored. Mark refusing to take photos. Mark never letting me meet his coworkers. Mark paying in cash. Mark getting angry when I asked about his past. Once, I found a second phone in the drawer. He said it was old. I believed him. Another time, he froze when a police car drove past us. He laughed it off. I believed him. I believed everything. Her car headlights appeared at the end of the street. I stood up quickly, my legs numb. She jumped out of the car the moment she saw me. Elena, what happened? She asked, pulling me into a hug. I shook my head. I don't know. He just kicked me out. She frowned. That's not normal. Nothing felt normal anymore. At Lydia's apartment, I sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket while she made tea. Do you want to tell me? She asked gently. I think Mark is hiding something, I said. Something bad. She handed me the mug. Then maybe tonight saved you. Her words stuck with me. Save me from what? Lydia turned on the TV while I stared at the wall. The same news channel was playing. My stomach twisted. A replay of the earlier report. A man arrested for identity fraud and money laundering. The screen showed his face. My breath caught. He looked familiar. Not Mark, but close enough to make my skin crawl. Same eyes. Same mouth. Like a brother. Like family. I grabbed the remote with shaking hands. Pause it, I whispered. Lydia looked at me. Elena. That man, he looks like Mark. Silence filled the room. What if Mark isn't who he says he is? Lydia asked quietly. The room felt too small. The message made sense now. He knows you saw the news. Whoever texted me knew Mark was connected. Maybe blood. Maybe business. Maybe something worse. I barely slept that night. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow felt like danger. At 6:13 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Same number. Do not be late. You deserve to know who you lived with. I stared at the screen as fear and curiosity battled inside me. One question burned in my chest. Was Mark a criminal? Or was he hiding from something even darker? Morning came, but it didn't bring peace. It brought fear. The sun rose slowly through Lydia's thin curtains, casting pale lines across the living room floor. I hadn't really slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mark's face the moment he told me to get out. Cold. Empty. Final. I sat up on the couch and checked my phone again. No new messages. But the last one still burned in my mind. You deserve to know who you lived with. I whispered the words out loud. Who was he? Lydia stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, watching me pull on my jacket. "You don't have to go," she said. "This could be dangerous." "I know," I replied. "But if I don't, I'll never sleep again." She sighed. "Then I'm coming with you." We drove in silence. The city felt different in the morning, brighter, busier. But I felt like I was walking into a shadow. At 11:58 a.m., we parked across from the coffee shop on 8th Street. My heart started racing. The coffee shop looked normal. Too normal. People laughed inside. A couple held hands near the window. A barista wiped the counter. Nothing about it screamed danger. But I knew better now. We sat at a small table near the back. I kept checking the door. 11:59. 12 o'clock. Then it opened. And he walked in. He was tall. Mid-40s. Wore a dark jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. His eyes scanned the room like someone who didn't want to be seen. Then they landed on me. And his face changed. Recognition. Not surprise, recognition. He walked over and sat down across from me without asking. "You're Elena," he said quietly. My stomach dropped. "Yes," I replied. "Who are you?" He leaned forward. "My name is Daniel Cross." That name meant nothing to me. But what he said next shattered everything. "That man you lived with," he said. "His name isn't Mark." My breath caught. "What do you mean?" Daniel looked around, then lowered his voice. "His real name is Michael Hayes. And he's been running from that name for over 10 years. Lydia's hand tightened around her coffee cup. "Running from what?" she asked. Daniel's jaw clenched. "From the truth." Daniel pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. A photo appeared on the screen. It was Mark. Younger. Shorter hair. Standing next to another man. The man from the news. My chest tightened. "That's his brother," Daniel said. "Ethan Hayes." The room spun. "His brother was arrested last night," Daniel continued. "Fraud. Fake identities. Millions stolen." My hands trembled. "And Mark?" I whispered. Daniel met my eyes. "Mark helped him." I shook my head. "No. He's not like that." Daniel sighed. "That's what makes him good at it." He leaned back slightly. "They change names. Cities. Faces. And when someone gets caught," he paused, "they disappear." Lydia whispered. "Or kick people out." Daniel nodded. When the news played, he knew it was over. "You were too close." I swallowed hard. "Then why didn't he just leave? Why throw me out?" Daniel's voice dropped. "Because you know where he lives." Silence. "He needed distance," Daniel continued. "And he needed you gone fast." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Daniel hesitated. "Because I've been tracking them for years." "Are you police?" Lydia asked. Daniel shook his head. "No. I'm worse." I froze. "I'm the man who lost everything because of them." "My sister married Ethan," Daniel said. "They stole her identity, her savings, her life." My throat tightened. She took her own life when she realized what they'd done. I couldn't breathe. "And now," Daniel said, "I make sure no one else pays that price." Daniel leaned closer. "Elena, listen carefully. Michael, doesn't love anyone. He survives." My heart cracked. "Then why didn't he hurt me?" I whispered. Daniel looked at me for a long time. "Because he didn't think he'd have to." Daniel slid a small envelope across the table. Inside were copies of IDs. Different names. Same face. Mark's face. "He's leaving the city tonight," Daniel said. "And if he does, you'll never get answers." I stared at the envelope. One thought screamed inside my head. If I confront him, will I survive it? The envelope felt heavier than paper. It sat on the table between us, filled with fake names, fake lives, and one very real face, the man I thought I loved. I didn't touch it. I couldn't, because if I did, it would mean accepting the truth. And once you accept the truth, there's no going back. Daniel watched me closely. "You don't have much time," he said. "If he leaves tonight, he's gone forever." Lydia shook her head. "This is insane. She can't go back there." "I need to," I whispered. Both of them turned to me. "I need to look him in the eyes and know who he really is," I said. "I lived with him, slept beside him, planned a future with him." Daniel leaned forward. Then listen carefully. You do not confront him alone. You do not accuse him. And you do not let him know what you know. My heart pounded. Then why go back? Daniel's eyes hardened. Because people like him always leave something behind. We waited until evening. The sun dipped low, turning the sky orange and red, like a warning sign I couldn't ignore. Daniel parked across the street from my old apartment building. There, he said. His car is still there. My stomach twisted. He hasn't left yet. Which means he's packing, Daniel replied. I stared at the building. It looked the same. Same windows. Same stairs. Same place that had once felt like home. Now it felt like a trap. The door unlocked easily. Too easily. My breath caught as I stepped inside. The apartment was quiet. Empty. But not untouched. Drawers were open. Closets half cleared. The bed stripped of sheets. He was leaving. Fast. I walked slowly, every sound making my heart jump. That's when I noticed something strange. The TV was gone. He took the TV? Lydia whispered. Daniel's face darkened. No. He destroyed it. What? I asked. People like him don't remove evidence, Daniel said. They erase it. I felt cold. What evidence? Daniel pointed toward the wall. There used to be a vent there. I looked closely. The vent cover was gone. My heart dropped. Daniel stepped forward and reached inside the opening. His fingers brushed something. Then he pulled it out. A hard drive. My knees almost gave out. What's on it? I whispered. Daniel didn't answer. He just looked at me. Everything, he said. That's when we heard it. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was coming back. Daniel's voice dropped to a whisper. Hide. My heart slammed in my chest as I slipped into the bedroom closet. The door creaked softly as I closed it. Through the crack, I saw the front door open. Mark stepped inside. He looked different. Tired. Rushed. Angry. He threw his keys on the counter and cursed under his breath. Stupid, stupid, he muttered. I covered my mouth to stop myself from crying out. This was the man who had kissed me goodbye every morning. This was the man who had looked me in the eye and lied. He walked into the bedroom. Stopped. His eyes narrowed. Come out, he said calmly. My blood ran cold. He knew. I stepped out of the closet slowly. Our eyes met. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he sighed. You shouldn't have come back. I swallowed. Who are you? He stared at me for a long time. Then he said the words I never thought I'd hear. My real name is Michael. I never wanted you involved, he said quietly. Then why lie to me? I asked, tears running down my face. Because the truth destroys everything it touches, he replied. My heart shattered. Did you ever love me? I asked. He hesitated, just for a second, but that second was enough. His phone buzzed. He looked at it, then at me. They found Ethan, he said. Which means they'll come for me next. I backed away. Mark. Michael, whatever your name is, please don't do this. He stepped closer. You were never supposed to know. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the apartment. I screamed. Mark spun around. Daniel burst through the door, weapon raised. Time froze. 2 men. 1 truth. And 1 choice that would change my life forever. The sound of the gunshot still rang in my ears. My whole body froze. I couldn't tell if it was real or if my mind had finally cracked under the fear. The walls felt like they were closing in, and my heart was beating so loud I was sure everyone could hear it. Michael, stood completely still. His hands were in the air now. Daniel stepped forward slowly, his weapon steady, his eyes cold. Don't move, Daniel said. Mark laughed. A short, tired laugh. So, he said quietly, you finally caught up. Put the weapon down, Daniel ordered. Mark looked at me. Not angry. Not scared. Just sad. Elena, he said softly, this isn't how I wanted you to learn. My legs felt weak. Learn what? I whispered. He exhaled slowly and did something that shocked us all. He sat down on the edge of the bed. You want the truth? He asked. Daniel nodded. Start talking. Mark rubbed his face with both hands. I was 16 when Ethan taught me how to disappear, he said. New names. New faces. New lives. I felt sick. My parents were already gone, he continued. No one would miss me. So I followed him. Daniel's jaw tightened. And the stealing? Daniel asked. Mark looked up. That was Ethan. Always Ethan. Liar, Daniel snapped. Mark shook his head. I helped cover it. I helped move money. I helped erase trails. He looked at me again. But I never wanted this life. Then why stay? I asked, tears streaming down my face. Because leaving is harder than lying, he said. I swallowed. Did you love me? He closed his eyes. Yes. The word hurt more than any lie. I loved you, he continued. And that was my biggest mistake. Daniel frowned. Why? Because love makes you weak, Mark replied. And weak people get caught. Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out the hard drive. This says otherwise, he said. Mark's face drained of color. Where did you get that? From your wall, Daniel replied. Mark laughed bitterly. Figures. He looked at me again. That drive holds everything, he said. Names. Transfers. Fake deaths. I felt dizzy. Why keep it? I asked. In case I needed leverage, he said. Or an escape. Mark stood up slowly. Daniel raised his weapon. Easy, Mark said. I'm not fighting. He turned to me. I kicked you out to save you, he said. If you stayed, you would have gone down with me. By lying to me? I cried. Yes, he said. By making you hate me. That broke me. Sirens wailed in the distance. Daniel looked toward the window. They're coming, he said. Mark nodded. I know. He reached into his pocket slowly. Daniel tensed. Mark pulled out a folded piece of paper. Give this to her, he said, handing it to Daniel. What is it? I asked. Mark smiled sadly. My real confession. He walked toward the door calmly. Elena, he said without turning around. You were the only real thing in my fake life. Tears blurred my vision. Goodbye. Then he stepped into the hallway. The door closed behind him. Daniel lowered his weapon. I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Sirens grew louder. Mark was gone, but the truth stayed behind. I unfolded the paper with shaking hands. At the top, 3 words were written. If I disappear. My breath caught. What was he about to confess? And why did I feel like this wasn't over? My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper. The sirens outside were louder now. Red and blue lights flashed through the window, painting the walls in broken colors. Lydia stood frozen near the door. Daniel watched the hallway like he expected Mark to come back at any second. But all I could see were the words on that paper. I took a deep breath and began to read. If I disappear, it means I finally ran out of places to hide. If you're reading this, Elena, then I failed at the one thing I wanted most. Keeping you out of my mess. Tears fell onto the page. My real name is Michael Hayes. I was born into a family that survived by lying, by stealing, by vanishing before consequences could find us. I followed my brother because I was scared to be alone. I had to stop for a moment. The room felt like it was spinning. When the news played that night, I knew it was over. Ethan was caught. And when Ethan is caught, everyone he ever touched burns. I kicked you out because I knew if you stayed, you'd ask questions I couldn't answer. My chest tightened. I chose to be the villain so you could be free. I laughed through tears. Free. Daniel leaned closer as I read aloud. Keep going, he said quietly. I swallowed and continued. There's something on the hard drive I never showed anyone. Not even Ethan. Names. Faces. And a final transaction that proves who the real mastermind was. Daniel stiffened. The real mastermind, he repeated. Yes, I whispered. Ethan wasn't the leader. He was the bait. The room went silent. Someone higher funded everything. Protected us. Erased records. Someone untouchable. My heart pounded. If this letter reached you, it means you're already in danger. I'm sorry. Do not trust the police. Do not trust anyone who asks for the drive. And whatever you do, don't go back to the apartment alone. I lowered the paper. My hands were ice cold. Lydia whispered, Oh my God. Daniel cursed under his breath. A loud knock hit the door. Police. Open up. Daniel moved fast. Hide the drive, he whispered. I slipped it into my bag just as the door opened. 2 officers stepped in. Their faces were serious. We received reports of a disturbance, one said. Where's Michael Hayes? Daniel answered calmly. He left before you arrived. The officer's eyes flickered. Too quick. Too knowing. May we see some ID? The officer asked. Daniel hesitated, just for a second. I noticed it. My stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. The second officer glanced at my bag. What's in there? I hugged it tighter. Personal items, I said. His eyes lingered. Then he smiled. And that smile scared me more than Mark ever did. Ma'am, he said slowly, we're going to need you to come with us. Daniel stepped forward. On what grounds? The officer's smile vanished. On the grounds that she knows too much. Time froze. Lydia gasped. My heart slammed against my ribs. Daniel didn't hesitate. He grabbed my arm. Run. We bolted. Furniture crashed behind us as Daniel shoved the officer aside. We ran down the stairs, feet pounding, lungs burning. Sirens erupted again. This time chasing us. Daniel's car screeched as we jumped inside. He floored it. I looked back through the window. Police cars poured onto the street. They're not here to protect us, I whispered. Daniel nodded grimly. They never were. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. One final message. You opened the drive. Now you belong to the story. I stared at the screen in horror. Because I finally understood the truth. Mark wasn't the danger. The system was. The city blurred past my window as Daniel drove like his life depended on it. Because it did. Because now so did mine. My phone lay heavy in my hand. That message stared back at me like a threat carved in stone. You opened the drive. Now you belong to the story. I whispered, they're watching us. Daniel didn't look away from the road. I know. We drove for almost an hour without stopping. No radio. No talking. Just the sound of tires on the road and my heart pounding in my ears. Finally, Daniel turned onto a narrow side street and pulled into a dark, empty warehouse parking lot. We need to see what's on the drive, he said. Now. Lydia nodded, her face pale. What if it's a trap? She asked. Daniel answered quietly. Then we already walked into it. Inside the warehouse, Daniel powered up an old laptop. No internet, he said. That's important. He plugged in the hard drive. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen filled with folders. Hundreds of them. Dates. Names. Cities. This is insane, Lydia whispered. I leaned closer. One folder was labeled. Final transaction. My hands went cold. Daniel opened it. A video appeared. The footage was grainy but clear enough. A man sat behind a desk. Expensive suit. Expensive watch. He was smiling. Daniel sucked in a breath. I know him. Who is he? I asked. Daniel's voice was tight. A federal contractor. Powerful. Untouchable. My stomach dropped. The man in the video spoke calmly. You did well, Ethan, he said. Your brother, too. My heart stopped. He knew about Mark, I whispered. The man continued talking. You're expendable, of course, he said casually. But necessary. I covered my mouth. That's the man who funded everything, Daniel said. The one Michael warned us about. Lydia whispered, he used them. Daniel nodded. And when they got caught, he burned them. The video ended. Another file opened automatically. A document titled. It listed names. Addresses. Dates. Some were crossed out. Some weren't. Daniel's face went white. This isn't just fraud, he said. It's murder. My knees nearly gave out. And Mark? I asked. Daniel scrolled. Then stopped. There it was. Michael Hayes pending. He's marked, I whispered. Yes, Daniel said. Which means he's either already dead or about to be. My chest burned. He saved me, I said. By pushing me away. Daniel nodded. He knew this was coming. Suddenly, a red warning flashed on the laptop screen. Daniel slammed it shut. They found the drive. Ow! Lydia cried. Daniel looked at me. They didn't find the drive, he said. They followed you. My phone buzzed again. Same number. You were never meant to survive this long. Fear wrapped around my throat. What do they want from me? I asked. Daniel answered quietly. They want leverage. Lydia whispered, they want her. Daniel stood up. We can't run forever, he said. We have to expose this. To who? I asked. The police are compromised. Daniel met my eyes. There's one place they can't silence. Where? The public. Daniel leaned closer. If we do this, he said, You lose your privacy. Your old life. Everything. I thought of Mark. The way he looked at me that last time. I already lost everything, I said. Daniel nodded. Then let's finish what he started. Just then, a loud knock echoed through the warehouse. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was outside. My heart stopped. Daniel whispered, "They found us." The knock came again. Slow. Heavy. Certain. Each knock felt like it landed directly on my chest. Daniel raised one finger, signaling us to stay quiet. Lydia clutched my arm so hard it hurt. Neither of us complained. Outside, whoever it was didn't knock a third time. They waited. That was worse. Daniel whispered, "If it's them, they won't ask twice." Then what do we do? I whispered back. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. He typed quickly, then slid it back into his pocket. "What did you do?" Lydia asked. "I sent the files," he said quietly. "If we don't make it out, the truth still will." My heart sank and lifted at the same time. Daniel moved slowly toward the door. Every step felt too loud. He reached the handle, paused, then pulled it open. A man stood there, bruised, bleeding, breathing hard. It was Mark. Michael. Alive. For a second, no one spoke. Then I gasped. "You're supposed to be dead." He gave a weak smile. "I hear that a lot." He stepped inside quickly, shutting the door behind him. "They're close," he said. "Very close." I stared at him like he was a ghost. "They marked you," I said. "You're on their list." "I know," he replied. "That's why I came." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Why now?" Mark looked at me. "Because she has the drive," he said. "And because I won't let them take her." "They tried to kill me," Mark continued. "A car accident that wasn't an accident. A hospital that wasn't safe." My stomach twisted. "So I disappeared again," he said. "But this time, I didn't run." Mark reached into his jacket and pulled out something small. A flash drive. Daniel froze. "That's impossible," he said. "I made a copy," Mark replied. "Insurance." He turned to me. "This one contains names they never thought I'd find." My breath caught. "You risked everything," I whispered. He nodded. "For once, yes." "We don't leak it piece by piece," Daniel said. "We drop everything. All at once." Mark nodded. "Tonight," Lydia whispered, "they'll come for you." Mark looked at her calmly. "They already are." Mark turned to me. "Elena, if this goes out, your life will never be normal again." I thought of the night he turned off the TV. The door slamming shut. The lies. "I don't want normal," I said. "I want the truth." Something like peace crossed his face. Outside, engines roared. Headlights flooded the warehouse windows. "They're here," Daniel said. Mark stepped forward. "Then I'll buy you time." "No," I said. "We finish this together." He looked at me, really looked at me, and nodded. Daniel hit send. Files uploaded. Videos released. Names exposed. Somewhere out there, powerful people were about to wake up afraid. Sirens screamed closer. Doors slammed. Footsteps rushed toward us. Mark grabbed my hand. "No matter what happens," he said, "remember this, you were never weak." Tears filled my eyes. "And neither were you," I said. The warehouse door exploded open. Armed men poured in. Lights blinded us. Someone shouted, "On the ground!" Mark stepped in front of me. Daniel raised his hands. Lydia screamed. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying and beautiful. The truth was already out, and nothing could stop it now. The shout echoed through the warehouse like a gunshot. Bright lights blinded us. Heavy boots thundered across the concrete floor. My ears rang as my body reacted before my mind could catch up. I dropped to my knees, hands shaking, heart racing. Mark stayed standing, right in front of me. "Get down!" One of the men shouted again. Mark didn't move. He lifted his hands slowly, calmly, like a man who had already made peace with whatever came next. "Leave her alone," he said. "She's not part of this." One of the men stepped closer and shoved him hard. Mark stumbled but didn't fall. I screamed, "Stop!" Daniel was already on the ground, hands behind his head. Lydia was crying beside me, whispering my name over and over like a prayer. Everything felt unreal, like time had slowed just to punish us. They weren't wearing police uniforms. That was the first thing I noticed. Plain clothes, earpieces, cold eyes. One of them spoke into his mic. "We have the targets." Targets. Not suspects. Targets. That single word told me everything. Then a familiar voice spoke from behind them. Calm. Smooth. Confident. Enough. The men stepped aside. And there he was. The man from the video. The one behind the desk. The one who funded everything. The mastermind. He walked slowly like he owned the air around him. "Well," he said, looking directly at me, "this has been inconvenient." My blood ran cold. "You killed people," Daniel said through clenched teeth. The man smiled faintly. "I cleaned up messes," he replied. "Big difference." He looked at Mark. "You disappointed me, Michael." Mark didn't flinch. "You used us," Mark said. "Then you tried to erase us." "That's business," the man replied. I couldn't stay silent anymore. "You destroyed lives," I shouted. "You think that just disappears?" The man finally looked at me and laughed. "People forget," he said. "They always do." That's when Daniel spoke. "Not this time." The man raised an eyebrow. "Oh." Daniel smiled for the first time since I'd met him. "You're already trending." The smile vanished. "What?" Daniel continued. "The files went public. Everywhere. Journalists. Independent servers. Copies on copies." The man's face hardened. "That's impossible." Mark spoke quietly. "You taught us how to disappear," he said. "You forgot to teach us how to stay silent." The man pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking. He scrolled. His face changed. Not fear. Rage. "You think this ends me?" he snapped. "I'll bury all of you." Sirens wailed in the distance. Real sirens. This time they weren't chasing us. They were coming for him. The men around him hesitated. Then one by one they stepped back. Loyalty disappears fast when power cracks. The man looked around. "You idiots," he hissed. That's when real police burst through the doors. Weapons raised. "Put your hands up." This time the command was real. The man froze. Slowly raised his hands. Mark exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for 10 years. I felt my knees give out. It was over. Or so I thought. As they took the man away, another officer turned to Mark. "Michael Hayes," he said, "you're under arrest as well." I stood up suddenly. "He helped us," I cried. "He stopped this." The officer looked at me gently. "He still has to answer for what he did." Mark turned to me and smiled. A real smile. The kind I hadn't seen in years. "It's okay," he said softly. "This is how it should end." Tears streamed down my face. "I waited my whole life to tell the truth," he continued. "If prison is the price, I'll pay it." As they cuffed him, he leaned closer to me. "Thank you," he whispered, "for surviving me." My heart shattered and healed. At the same time, news exploded overnight. Headlines everywhere. Names exposed. Accounts frozen. People arrested. Stories I never imagined were suddenly public truth. And for the first time since that night he turned off the TV. I slept. Weeks later, I sat alone, watching the same news channel. The anchor said one sentence that stayed with me. Sometimes the truth only survives because someone refused to stay silent. I turned off the TV. Not in fear, but in peace. Because this time, the truth had already won. Some endings are loud. Mine was quiet. No cameras. No applause. Just silence and time. The kind of time you need to sit with everything you survived. Mark went to prison. Not as a hero. Not as a monster. But as a man who finally stopped running. I visited him once. We sat across from each other in a small room that smelled like disinfectant and regret. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said. "I know," I replied. "But I hope one day you'll be free from me." I looked at him and realized something strange. I already was. Daniel disappeared after the trials began. Some people are meant to finish the fight, not stay for the peace. Lydia stayed. She helped me rebuild when I had nothing but memories and questions. The apartment was gone. The life I thought I had was gone. But I was still standing, And that mattered. One evening, months later, I sat alone in a new place. Different couch. Different walls. Same TV. The news was on. Another powerful man exposed. Another lie undone. I watched for a moment, then I reached for the remote and turned it off. Not because I was afraid, but because I no longer needed answers from a screen. Here's what I learned, and this matters. People who lie the best often look the safest. Silence protects the wrong people. Truth is dangerous, but it's also freedom. Mark didn't kick me out because he hated me. He did it because lies collapse when the truth enters the room. And when the TV turned off that night, a bigger story turned on. Let me leave you with this. Never ignore the signs just because love feels comfortable. If someone fears the truth, ask why. Your voice matters, even when it shakes. Walking away can sometimes save your life. The truth always shows up, even if it takes 24 hours. I lost a life I thought I wanted, but I gained one I finally own. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of someone you know, if it made you feel seen, scared, or stronger, please like this video. It helps stories like this reach the right people. Subscribe for more real-life emotional stories. Comment your thoughts. I read them, and your voice matters. Share this story with someone who might need courage today. You never know who's watching in silence, waiting for a story that gives them strength. He turned off the TV and kicked me out. But 24 hours later, the truth showed up, and it gave me my life back. Thank you for listening.